He just got dropped into a novel waking up in the body of Kian Valerius, the worthless heir to the Northern Range, and his fiancée just publicly dumped him at their own engagement party. Kian, the man I love, is Zane Blackwood. Now that he's back, there's no way I can marry you, Lyra Thorne declared. I'm officially calling off our engagement right here, right now. The story's golden boy Zane Blackwood drew his sword. Kian, if you don't agree, I swear I'll slaughter your entire family one day. The original Kian Valerius was a complete doormat for Lyra, a simp who would have gladly died for her. So everyone here expected him to just roll over and let them walk away. Instead, he spoke, his voice calm and low. Excellent. You have the guts to publicly humiliate the Valerius family. In that case, kill them all right here, right now at the Valerius estate during the engagement party. The moment Zane Blackwood, the novel's destined protagonist, showed up, Lyra Thorne had shot to her feet and shouted at him. Kian, I don't love you at all. If your Valerius family hadn't pressured mine, I never would have agreed to this engagement. The man I've always loved is Zane. Today I, Lyra Thorne, am officially ending our engagement. Then came the hero's threat, sword drawn and all. Kian, if you refuse, I'll make sure the Valerius name is wiped from the face of the earth. He was still dazed, having just woken up in this world, but the plot of the book came flooding back to him in an instant. This Kian Valerius was just a side character, a pathetic loser who existed to be trampled on. He was obsessively in love with the female lead Lyra. In the original story, to make her happy, he not only stepped aside for the main couple, but also funneled a fortune and family resources to them. The moment the hero Zane reached the pinnacle of his power, becoming a so-called apex-tier warrior, he led the Thorne family in an assault on the Valerius estate. The entire household was massacred down to the last servant, and the happy couple lived happily ever after like something out of a fairy tale. He remembered reading that part and cursing out the author. The next thing he knew, he was here. With his temper, there was no way he could stomach this. He didn't even think. He just slapped Lyra clean across the face. God damn it. Every resource your family has, every bit of power you cling to, came from my family, from the Valeriuses, he roared. And now you stand here, call off our engagement, and slap us in the face in front of everyone? I've been way too good to a bitch like you. Lyra clutched her swelling cheek, staring at him in disbelief. Kian, you hit me. You always said you loved me. Was it all a lie? You said you'd do anything to make me happy. All I'm doing is calling off an engagement. Is it really that big of a deal? Zane Blackwood was stunned too. This wasn't in the script. The guests started whispering. Lyra Thorne is insane. The Valerius heir has the family, the talent, the looks. He's the total package, and she's dumping him. Kian has been so good to her, giving her anything she asked for. The Valeriuses practically bankrolled the entire Thorne family's rise. How could she be so ungrateful? Exactly. And to do it publicly, to humiliate the Valeriuses like this. She's lost her mind. You know, based on how the heir used to be, he probably would have just agreed. I don't know what happened, but it's like he's a completely different person. He glanced at the story's hero and heroine, his eyes ice cold. Valerius Guard, where are you? The captain of the estate guard, Darius Reed, dropped to one knee. Sir, your orders. Kill them. What? Zane jumped in front of Lyra. Kian, are you insane? You're going to kill Lyra over something this small. Small? Publicly disgracing one of the most powerful families in the country was a small thing? Are the people in this book all idiots? Besides, if I don't kill you now, am I supposed to just wait for you to get strong enough to wipe out my entire family? Kian, you said you loved me. Lyra cried. Is this how you treat me? Even Captain Reed hesitated. Everyone in the estate knew how much Lyra meant to him, to the old him. He wasn't sure if he was serious or just trying to scare them. Kian, you've disappointed me so much, Lyra said, her tone shifting to one of moral superiority. All you ever wanted was to possess me. Don't you know that real love is wanting the other person to be happy? I found the person who can make me happy, and instead of wishing me well, you threaten us? That's not love at all. Holy shit. What kind of twisted logic was that? This author really went all out on the female-centric fantasy. I'm telling you. Kian, let's leave right now, she warned. Otherwise, we can't even be friends after this. His face darkened. He shone an annoyed look at Darius Reed. Still waiting? Or have my orders as the Valerius heir suddenly stopped meaning anything? Reed didn't hesitate this time. He drew his blade and lunged at Zane, who was still shielding Lyra. The other guards moved in, forming a protective circle around him. Zane scrambled to parry the attack with his own sword. Boom! A powerful shockwave erupted from the clash, sending nearby tables flying. Plates and glasses shattered, food and wine splattering everywhere. The weaker guests were thrown back, rolling on the ground and screaming in pain. The scene was pure chaos. Zane, a Tier 8 combatant, didn't budge an inch, but Captain Reed, a Tier 9, was forced back a dozen steps, a look of pure shock on his face. He had to admit, Zane really was the chosen one. He could fight above his weight class and still come out on top. Good thing he was still in his early stages. Time to nip this problem in the bud. Two of the estate's elite protectors, both Grandmaster class, materialized at his side. They bowed. Young Master Kian, using your family's power to attack us doesn't make you strong, Kian. Zane shouted. If you have any guts, fight me one-on-one. If I win, you let me leave with Lyra. The original Kian had decent potential, but he was only a Tier 6. He'd have to be an idiot to take that deal. Seeing the Grandmasters appear, Lyra's father, Elias Thorne, rushed to stand in front of Zane and his daughter. Young Master Valerius, this is all my fault. I failed to raise my daughter properly. I'll be sure to discipline her when we get home, he said, trying to smooth things over. Truthfully, the Thorne family would be honored to have Lyra marry into your family, but as she said, her heart belongs to Zane now. Love is a matter of mutual affection. You can't force it, can you? He didn't even look at him. His voice was glacial. Take the entire Thorne family into custody. If anyone resists, kill them without mercy. Yes, sir. Hundreds of Valerius guards acknowledged the order and swarmed the Thorne family members among the guests. The Thorns, of course, weren't going to submit quietly. They struggled and fought back. What? What do you think you're doing? Touch me again, and I swear I'll cut you down. Don't you know who Arabella is to your young master? He's wrapped around her little finger. I'll have him kill you all. Huh. You damn servants, let me go. The guards showed no mercy to those who resisted. Blades flashed, and in seconds 4 or 5 of them were cut down. The remaining Thorns finally understood the gravity of the situation. They screamed in terror, all resistance draining out of them. Kian, you dare have my cousins killed. Lyra shrieked. You kill these guards right now and get on your knees and apologize to me. If you don't, I will never forgive you. He stared at her like she was the dumbest person on the planet. Huh? Lyra, you really are clueless, aren't you? You actually think after all this that I'm going to let you walk away from here alive? He glanced at the 2 Grandmasters beside him. What are you waiting for? Kill these 2 degenerates for me. And remember, make it quick and brutal. Don't give them any chance for a comeback. Yes, young master. Just then, a booming voice echoed through the hall. I'd like to see who dares. An immense pressure washed over everyone present, so powerful it made the air crackle. A black-clad old man appeared in a blur of motion. The sheer force of his presence was suffocating. Zane's eyes lit up. Master, you're here, he cried out in relief. The newcomer was Zane's master, Grandmaster Alaric, Vice Director of the EGS Order. His power level was demi-saint class. Meanwhile, the Valerius family's elite forces and its 500,000-strong private army were all deployed up north with his father, General Valerius. They were busy holding the line against the Scythian cartel's latest incursion. Right now, the strongest fighters at the estate were Grandmaster class, no match for a demi-saint. He looked at the old man coldly. Grandmaster Alaric, does the EGS Order intend to interfere in the affairs of the Valerius family? Young Master Valerius, your apprentice was indeed reckless, but his crime doesn't warrant death. I hope you can find it in your heart to be magnanimous and let this go. He laughed, the sound dripping with scorn. Magnanimous? Your apprentice publicly crashes my engagement, steals my fiancée, and makes my family the laughingstock of the entire nation, and you want me to be magnanimous? Alaric bowed his head slightly. Again, it is true that Zane and the young Miss Thorne were in the wrong, but her father has already promised to discipline her. At the same time, I will severely punish my wayward student and offer you a full apology. Would that be acceptable? He cut him off. No. No one humiliates the Valerius family and walks away unscathed. I don't care who they are. A flash of anger crossed Alaric's face. He spoke through gritted teeth. Young Master Valerius, do this as a favor to me, Alaric. Consider it a debt I will owe you. In the original novel, the Aegis Order was a major force in the destruction of his family. The idea of owing him a favor was laughable. He wasn't about to give him an inch. Alaric, who the hell do you think you are? He sneered. Does the Aegis Order truly wish to make an enemy of the Valerius family? He was betting he wouldn't dare. The Valerius family was at the height of its power. Besides their massive army, they had two ST-class powerhouses and the nation's only apex-tier warrior, the legendary Zephyr, known as the Wraithblade. Even though Zephyr had been seriously injured in a battle with a former Scythian warlord and was only at 30% of his peak strength, he could still effortlessly eliminate a typical ST-class opponent. If his father, General Tiberius Valerius, truly got angry, not just the Aegis Order, but the entire federal government would have to think twice. The only reason Lyra Thorne had the nerve to disrespect the Valerius family was because the original Kian was such a pathetic simp. In the book, when his father, General Valerius, found out about this, he flew into a rage and ordered the entire Thorne family to be wiped out. But the original Kian stopped him, threatening to kill himself. As the vice director of the Aegis Order, Grandmaster Alaric was used to being treated with the utmost respect. He'd never suffered a humiliation like this. A murderous glint flashed in his eyes. Young Master Valerius, are you telling me you refuse to grant me this courtesy? That's right. This pathetic couple must die. And what if I insist on taking them with me? Then by all means, try. He turned to his men. Grandmasters, keep Alaric busy. Everyone else, kill that couple, full force. Yes, young master. Alaric's face changed. He yelled at Zane and the others. Why are you all standing there for? Run. Zane and the remaining Thorns snapped out of their stupor and scrambled for the main gate. The battle erupted instantly. The two Grandmasters, both masters of the blade, flanked Alaric, their swords cutting through the air in a synchronized assault. The energy from their blades lit up the night. Alaric met them with his own longsword, its energy weaving a brilliant, deadly web. Boom, boom. The energies collided, unleashing devastating force. A violent gale ripped through the estate's main courtyard. Dirt and stone were torn from the ground, and the courtyard was left pockmarked with craters. The three combatants were all thrown back by the impact, but they landed on their feet and charged at each other again. In the same instant, the courtyard became a maelstrom of blade energy and sword light. The deafening roar of their battle was continuous. The ground was torn apart, trees were shredded, and rocks were sent flying through the air like shrapnel. Although his two Grandmasters were clearly on the defensive, they managed to keep Alaric completely tied down. On the other side of the battle, the Thorne family members were being cut down. A dozen had already fallen. Elias Thorne and Lyra had managed to escape the initial onslaught. Zane fought a desperate rearguard action, his body covered in wounds, bleeding profusely. Captain Reed was clearly no match for him and was being steadily pushed back. In a final desperate move, Zane ignored two sword strikes that bit deep into his flesh to cut down several more guards, then vaulted over the wall and vanished into the darkness. System, congratulations, host. You have severely wounded the Chosen One. Reward, Primal Titan Physiology +1, Sunfall Bow +1. The moment the Sunfall Bow materialized in his hands, a surge of energy flowed from it into his body, instantly boosting him from a Tier 6 fighter to Tier 9. He was ecstatic. This was like leveling up on a rocket ship. It felt incredible. All right, let's test this Sunfall Bow on Grandmaster Alaric. He drew on all his newfound power to pull back the bowstring. A golden light, thick as mist, slowly coalesced into the shape of an arrow. Its tip blazed like a miniature sun. Behind him, the ghostly images of two colossal, godlike figures shimmered into existence. Seeing that Zane had escaped, Alaric had no desire to continue the fight. He broke away and soared towards the estate wall. He roared, "Alaric, halt!" The moment he turned his head, he released the arrow. The sound was like thunder cracking, and for a second the world lost its color. The golden arrow tore through the night sky, closing the distance to Alaric in the blink of an eye. A primal fear seized him. He could feel the absolute annihilating power contained within that single point of light. He twisted his body violently in midair, trying to dodge the fatal shot. Splat! The golden arrow still struck his left arm. The limb instantly vaporized, spraying a mist of blood across the night sky. Arg! Alaric screamed, tumbling from the air. By the time his guards reached the spot where he fell, he was gone. All that remained was a large crimson stain on the ground. Firing that one shot had drained every ounce of energy from his body. He felt a wave of exhaustion wash over him, and he nearly collapsed. Everyone left in the courtyard stared at him as if they'd seen a ghost. The young master injured Grandmaster Alaric with a single arrow. But he's a demi-saint. The two Grandmasters couldn't even scratch him, but the young master took his arm off with one shot. How is that possible? The remaining party guests who hadn't managed to flee yet were frozen in place. When they looked at him now, there was a new emotion in their eyes. Seeing that the fighting was over, they knew better than to linger. They made their excuses and left as quickly as they could. Half an hour later, a guard reported that Zane and Lyra's family had returned to the Thorn family home. Good. They didn't even bother to run. They really have no respect for the Valerius family. He sent more men to their residence, ordering them to watch their every move. Darius Reed, sir, I want you to ride for the Northern Front as fast as you can. Report everything that happened tonight to the general and tell him I need to borrow the Wraithblade. By sunset tomorrow, I want the Thorn family erased from existence. Yes, sir. Darius Reed accepted the order, mounted a genetically engineered speed horse, and galloped off into the night. Strike them while they're weak. Never give the chosen one a chance to grow. The next evening, the atmosphere inside the old Thorn family mansion was tense. Elias Thorn's brow was furrowed with worry. Lyra was carefully applying medicine to Zane's wounds. Dad, what are you so worried about? She asked. What do you think? Look at the mess you two made, calling off the engagement at the party. You've completely enraged the Valeriuses. The Thorn family is facing a disaster. I think maybe we should head south for a while, lay low until this blows over. Elias knew in his heart that if the young master still had his old personality, he wouldn't have been so ruthless, but for some reason Kian was like a completely different person. It terrified him. Dad, Zane and I know we were wrong. We didn't think it through, Lyra said dismissively. But you don't need to worry so much. Kian is only angry because we embarrassed him in front of all those guests. Besides, he killed plenty of our people too. He should have cooled down by now. He loves me so much. I bet he's already regretting it. Once I go talk to him, say a few nice things, he'll be back to being my loyal little puppy, just like before. Even now, Lyra still believed he was the same pathetic simp she could control. Though still worried, Elias's expression softened. I hope you're right. Go talk to the young master. Even if you can't marry him, we absolutely cannot lose the Valerius family's financial support. Of course, Lyra scoffed. And I'm going to make Kian come here and apologize on his knees. How dare he kill members of my family? If he doesn't show some sincere remorse, I'll never forgive him for the rest of my life. Elias finally seemed relieved. He turned to Zane with a smile. Young Zane, the EGS order says you're a once-in-a-century talent. You must train hard. Don't disappoint our family or Lyra. Don't worry, Uncle Elias. I will become an Apex-tier warrior, maybe even a saint beyond that. And when I do, the Thorn family will be my greatest supporters. Good, good. Such ambition in a young man. Just then, the study door was thrown open. A servant stumbled in and fell to his knees. Master, it's terrible. The Valeriuses are here. They've surrounded the house. You have to come quickly. The color drained from Elias's face. Lyra's face darkened with anger. Well, I haven't even gone to settle the score with him, and he dares to show up at my door? When Elias and the others stormed into the front courtyard, they found every member of the Thorn family forced to their knees, held at gunpoint by Valerius guards. Many were bruised and bloodied, clearly having been beaten. A woman shrieked, Kian, how dare you treat me like this? You let me go right now and pay my family reparations. If you don't, I'll make sure Lyra never forgives you for the rest of her life. This shrew was Lyra's mother, Seraphina Thorn. She was the one who had coached her daughter on exactly how to manipulate the original Kian. Too bad for her. He wasn't that pathetic loser anymore. Who do you think you are, barking at me like a dog? What? Kian, you bastard. You dare insult me. I'll tear your mouth off. She lunged at him. Before his guards could even move, he drew his blade in a single fluid motion. It was out and back in its sheath. Seraphina Thorn's hands flew into the air. Yeah, she collapsed to the ground, writhing in agony, her eyes wide with a terror that completely replaced her earlier arrogance. Lyra went berserk. "Mother," she screamed. "Kian, how dare you do that to my mother? Cut off your own arms right now as an apology. If you don't even think about me ever speaking to you again." Jesus Christ. We were at the point of life and death, and she was still spouting this ridiculous, self-centered nonsense. It was baffling. Zane roared, "Kian, are you even a man, attacking her mother like that? I challenge you to a duel. If you lose, you take your men and get the hell out of our house." A smirk played on his lips. "All right, a duel it is. Do you want to take on my entire army by yourself, or should my army take on you? Your choice." Zane was speechless. "What? Kian, you're shameless." He couldn't be bothered to argue with them. He turned his gaze to the family patriarch, Elias Thorne. "Don't say I didn't give you a chance. You kill Zane Blackwood right now, and I'll spare the rest of your family. Otherwise, I'll kill one member of your family every 30 seconds. Let's see just how many relatives you have to spare." Elias's face went white as a sheet. The other Thorns heard this and lost their minds, begging for their lives. "No, don't kill me. Master Lyra, please save us. Young Master Valerius, this is all Lyra's fault. It has nothing to do with us. Please have mercy." A faint smile remained on his face, but his eyes were devoid of any warmth. In the original book, when the Thorne family sacked the Valerius estate, they burned, pillaged, and murdered without restraint. Not a single one of them was innocent. Lyra's face hardened. "That's enough, Kian. There's a limit to how far you can go to try and force my hand. Limit my ass." He drew his blade and cut down the two closest Thorne family members. Blood sprayed through the air, splattering all over Lyra. "Ah!" she screamed in terror, her body trembling uncontrollably. She finally believed he was serious. "Kian, stop. We could talk about this. You just want me, right? I can reconsider marrying you. Just don't be rash." "No, Lyra, don't." Zane roared, his face a mask of humiliation and rage. Lyra seemed to have made up her mind. She bit her lip. "You win, Kian. I'll agree to marry you. Just take your men and leave." He slapped her across the face again. "Are you kidding me? A piece of trash like you thinks you're worthy of stepping through the gates of the Valerius estate?" Lyra was completely stunned. She stared at him, dumbfounded. For the first time, he was a total stranger to her. He looked at her father, a vicious glint in his eyes. "Elias, if you don't make your move, your entire family dies today. And don't blame me for being ruthless. Think about it. For years, how many resources has my family poured into yours? It's a shame none of you knew how to appreciate it." He turned to Darius Reed. "Time's up. Do it." Another scream, and a head rolled across the stone courtyard. Lyra broke down sobbing. She crawled to his feet, clutching at his pants. "Young master, I am sorry. I was wrong. I was so wrong. Please spare my family. If you spare them, I'll do anything you want." He kicked her away in disgust. "Lyra, you're in no position to bargain with me." 30 seconds later, another head fell. The remaining Thorns were screaming, begging, and pleading. Elias Thorne couldn't take it anymore. He exploded into action, lunging at Zane and striking at his head with an open palm. As a Grandmaster class fighter, his strike was like a thunderclap, a massive wave of force crashing down on Zane's skull. Zane had no time to react to the sudden attack. It was a direct hit. Lyra screamed in despair. No, but the gruesome scene everyone expected of Zane's head exploding never happened. A brilliant golden light erupted from Zane's body, and he stood there, completely unharmed. Everyone was shocked. That was a full power strike from a Grandmaster. Even a demi-saint shouldn't have been able to walk away from that unscathed, but he knew what it was. It was Zane's innate defense, his sovereign core, activating automatically to protect its host. An invincible shield that nullified all attacks. It was powerful, but it couldn't be triggered again so quickly. While Elias was still frozen in shock, Zane thrust his sword straight at his heart. The move was vicious, with no hesitation. Elias, for all his weakness, was still a Grandmaster. At the last second, he managed to twist his body, avoiding a fatal blow, but Zane's sword still pierced clean through him. Though not fatal, the wound was severe. Elias slapped Zane away with a final burst of strength, then staggered back, collapsing to the ground, vomiting blood, his life fading fast. Lyra screamed and rushed to her father's side. "Dad, She turned and glared at Zane, her eyes filled with hatred. Zane, are you insane? How could you attack my father like that? Zane was also badly injured. He scrambled to his feet and knelt, trying desperately to explain. Lyra, I didn't mean to. It was just instinct, a reflex. I didn't know it would hurt him so badly. Lyra, I know I was wrong. I'm so sorry. I really didn't mean to do it. Seeing his pathetic state, Lyra's anger subsided slightly. His cold voice cut through the air again. Darius, continue. As he spoke, 2 more heads rolled. You see that, Lyra? Those people died because of you. It seems your father can't kill Zane. That means you'll have to do it yourself. You kill Zane, and I'll let the rest of your family go. How about it? Lyra's eyes went wide, her expression a storm of conflicting emotions. What? You can't bear to do it? You'd rather watch your entire family die than let your precious Zane get hurt? Now that's true love. His words broke the dam. The remaining thorns erupted in curses. Lyra, if it wasn't for you and that damn Zane, none of this would be happening. What is wrong with you? Do you want to see us all dead before you're satisfied? Lyra tried to defend herself. No, I don't. I never wanted this. Then why won't you do it? Is Zane's life worth more than our entire family's? Lyra turned to look at Zane and saw him gazing at her with a look of profound sorrow. Her heart melted instantly. I'm sorry, she whispered. I can't. I just can't do it. Arg! Another scream, another head hitting the ground. He clapped his hands slowly. Well, your love is truly something to behold. In that case, I suppose the family patriarch will have to be next. Elias was already severely wounded. Hearing his words, he coughed up another mouthful of blood. Lyra, do it now. Is my life, is the life of our entire family, not worth as much as that one boy? If you hadn't fallen for him, our family would never have ended up like this. You are the ruin of the Thorn family. Ah! Lyra let out a grief-stricken cry. Finally, she picked up a sword and began walking step by step towards Zane. Zane, don't blame me for this, she said, her voice trembling. I have no choice. Zane was terrified, his eyes filled with anguish. Lyra, are you really going to kill me? You said we would live or die together. Lyra faltered, the pain on her face unbearable. Elias, seeing her hesitate, snapped. Bullshit. You just saw she was easy to fool. You say you love her, but what have you ever given her? Nothing but empty promises. Meanwhile, do you know how much she gave you? All the resources our family got from the Valeriuses, she gave them all to you. You tricked her out of everything, and you have the nerve to talk about dying together? Pathetic. Lyra's eyes turned to ice. She lunged, thrusting her sword at Zane. The blade, a family heirloom called the Moonlight Edge, seemed almost transparent as it shot forward, its energy aimed straight for his heart. Damn it! Zane scrambled to evade, the Moonlight Edge following him like a shadow. He finally realized Lyra was serious about killing him. A vicious look flashed in his eyes. His body blurred, disappearing for an instant before reappearing directly behind her. Lyra sensed the killing intent behind her and tried to block, but it was too late. Zane slammed his palm in her back. Boom. The force of the blow sent her flying. She coughed up a spray of blood in midair before crashing heavily to the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. Zane didn't stop. Leaving an afterimage in his place, he launched himself at him, his sword raised for a powerful downward slash. The brilliant energy of his blade seemed to tear a rift in space itself as it descended upon him. He showed no fear. He didn't even blink. The 2 grandmasters at his back moved as one. They each delivered a powerful kick to Zane's torso. He was sent flying like a cannonball, smashing into a decorative rock garden in the courtyard. Crash! The entire structure shattered, and the ground shook violently. Zane lay in the rubble, vomiting blood, his energy completely depleted. System, congratulations, host. You have once again severely wounded the Chosen One. Reward, unrestricted tier advancement +1, divine grade movement technique, phantom step +1. As the mechanical voice faded, his power level surged, jumping from tier 9 directly to Grandmaster class. His 2 Grandmasters moved in to finish the job, but a black shadow suddenly appeared, blocking their path. It was Grandmaster Alaric, the arm he'd shot off now crudely bandaged. Zane's eyes lit up with renewed hope. Master, he called out weakly. He smirked. Alaric, you were lucky to escape with your life yesterday. You actually dared to come back and die. Alaric's eyes were filled with venom. He and Valerius, I never imagined someone so young could be so vicious. Today I will cripple you myself, he replied casually. Alaric, this is a feud between myself and the Thorns. The EGS order has interfered time and time again. Aren't you afraid of bringing destruction upon your entire organization? He hesitated, a clear struggle playing out on his face. He gave him one last chance. Alaric, I'll give you one more opportunity. Leave now, and I can let this go. If you continue to obstruct me, I will flatten the EGS order. Alaric glanced at the weakened Zane, and his expression hardened. Young master, it's not that the EGS order wishes to be your enemy. It's that I can no longer stand by and watch you slaughter the innocent. What a load of sanctimonious crap. One of his handmaidens brought him the Valerius family signature weapon. He slowly took the blade, known as obsidian. Since the EGS order has so little regard for my family, then allow me to see what you're really made of. Suddenly, a voice whispered in his mind. Young master, you mustn't. He knew it was Zephyr the Wraithblade, protecting him from the shadows, but his voice was firm. It's fine, Zephyr. Say no more. The Thorn Mansion was located in a prominent part of the city. The commotion had already drawn a crowd of powerful onlookers from various factions, all watching from a distance. When they heard he was going to fight Grand Master Alaric himself, they were stunned. What? The Valerius heir is going to duel Alaric? Is he insane? Alaric is a demi-saint. He's been famous for decades. This is suicide. So arrogant. Youth truly is wasted on the young. He ignored their jeers. Lifting obsidian, he charged straight at Alaric. He wanted to see just how powerful this primal titan physiology of his really was. Zane could barely contain his glee. I can't believe the Valerius heir is such an idiot. Alaric's face was a mask of contempt. He moved in a blur, leaving an afterimage as he rushed towards him. But he activated Phantom Step. His own body dissolved into a series of flickering shadows, moving even faster than he was. The dark energy radiating from obsidian clashed with the blue light of Alaric's sword. They became a whirlwind of light and shadow, the sound of their impacts a deafening roar. The longer they fought, the more horrified Alaric became. A storm was raging in his heart. The onlookers were dumbfounded. What's going on? How is the young master so strong? My God, that's a demi-saint. And it looks like the young master is actually winning. This is insane. They all said Zane Blackwood was a once-in-a-century talent. If that's true, then what does that make the Valerius heir? A once-in-a-millennium prodigy. Zane clenched his fists, his eyes burning with a deep, venomous hatred. Damn it, I'm supposed to be the main character. Lyra, who had been on the verge of death, had been silently gloating, assuming he was about to be killed. Now she looked at him with an incredibly complex expression. Then she glanced over at Zane, and her heart turned to ice. Boom. With a final earth-shattering explosion, the energy from their blades erupted outwards. The rock gardens and stone sculptures in the courtyard were blasted into the air before exploding into dust. The few remaining Thorn family members with low power levels were torn apart by the shockwave, dying instantly. The crowd of onlookers was frozen in stunned silence. Diaolotman, he roared. The massive, godlike phantoms reappeared behind him, their hands gripping a colossal shadow blade as they brought it down in a devastating cleave. The dark energy from the attack tore through the sky, a strike like divine punishment. A fierce wind whipped through the area, kicking up a storm of sand and stone. The single blow was so powerful it seemed to dim the very heavens. Alaric cried out in alarm, hastily raising his sword to block. Crack! His longsword shattered. His body was slammed into the ground with brutal force, carving out a massive crater and sending a plume of earth into the air. He lay at the bottom, gasping and spitting up blood, barely alive. The entire area fell dead silent. He raised his blade and rushed towards him, ready to end this for good. Stop! A white-robed old man suddenly appeared in midair. It was the director of the EGS Order himself, the ST-class powerhouse, Grand Master Kaysen. He acted as if he hadn't heard him. His blade was already raised high. Alaric, go to hell. Without a moment's hesitation, he brought obsidian down toward his neck. Kaysen roared in fury. He slashed his own sword through the air in a wave of energy, so immense it seemed to warp space itself. It shot towards his back, moving faster than his own attack. Everyone's heart leaped into their throat. This was an attack from a Saint-class warrior. If it hit him, he was dead. Boom. At the last possible second, a man in a simple green tunic appeared behind him. With a casual wave of his hand, he simply slapped the world-destroying wave of energy, causing it to dissipate into nothing. Schlick. As Alaric stared up in disbelief, his blade sliced clean through his neck, severing his head. "My brother!" Kaysen screamed. "Master!" Zane cried. He picked up Alaric's head by the hair and held it up, looking at the EGS Order's director with a mocking grin. "When I want someone dead, no one can stop me." The entire city was in shock. A demi-saint powerhouse killed by the Valerius heir. This was Grand Master Alaric, Vice Director of the EGS Order, a legendary figure who had been famous for decades. No one could believe what they had just seen, but it was the undeniable truth. A new legend rises. An old master falls. After today's battle, the name of the Valerius heir will be known throughout the nation. Kaysen was overcome with grief and rage, his eyes bloodshot. A terrifying killing intent exploded from his body. The very air around them seemed to tremble, and the weaker fighters in the crowd turned pale, feeling like small boats tossed in a raging sea. This is the power of a saint class. Just his aura alone is suffocating me. But before Kaysen could make a move, Zephyr the Wraithblade acted. He drew his sword. The energy that erupted from it seemed to stretch for miles, and with a single elegant slash, he cut Grand Master Kaysen in two. "You dared to attack the young master?" Zephyr said, his voice flat. "You deserve to die." Kaysen's death didn't cause as much of a stir. After all, the Wraithblade's legend was built on a mountain of ST-class corpses. It was a known fact the EGS Order had picked the wrong family to provoke. Most of the Thorns were dead. The last few were on the ground, desperately begging for mercy. Elias and Lyra Thorn were filled with a regret so deep it felt like it was devouring them from the inside. To think they had thrown their entire family into the abyss all for Zane Blackwood. The hatred was unbearable. Lyra struggled to crawl towards him. "Young master, I was wrong. Please let me go. I don't want to die. I'll be your servant. I'll do anything you ask." "Lyra, I told you long ago," he said, his voice as cold as a tombstone. "You humiliate the Valerius family. You die. There are no other options. No, please. I know I was wrong now." His eyes were emotionless as she stared up at him with utter remorse. He swung his blade and took her head. Darius Reed no longer hesitated, finishing off the last of the Thorns. When he walked over to Zane, his eyes were wide with terror. You can't kill me. I'm the protagonist of this world. How can you kill me? This isn't how the story is supposed to go. What went wrong? It wasn't supposed to be like this." Art, without the slightest hesitation, he cut him down. "So what if you're the protagonist? This young master will kill you all the same." "System, congratulations, host. You have eliminated the chosen one. Reward, unrestricted tier advancement +2, Chaos Edgeblade +1, Sovereign Core +1. Holy crap, that's a reward. I leveled up twice. I'm an ST-class powerhouse now." 3 months later, he was in his study, giving one of his handmaids a thorough physical examination. Darius Reed burst in, his face panicked. "Young master, it's a disaster. The general was summoned to the capital by a presidential decree. He's being detained in D.C. "What the FK? That goddamn president. He wouldn't dare." He slammed his hands on the desk and shot to his feet. "Young master, what are your orders?" "What else? It's time for a rebellion." The story is over. Confetti falls.